Welcome, new and returning Sagittarius souls, to Zodiac Talks Tarot, where we read the skies with the rigor of a researcher, the curiosity of a traveler, and just enough irreverence to keep the universe entertained. Today, September 17th, 2025, we meet in the thick of eclipse season, when life accelerates from a jog to a gallop and your inner archer suddenly realizes the target is moving too, which is exactly how growth works. It asks you to aim while evolving. In meditation this morning I was handed two clean symbols, a $sign and the number 3, and while that might sound like your bank account found a soulmate, it's really a lesson about value and alignment. The $sign is less about cash than about your permission to receive, and the 3 is the ancient rhythm of harmony, body, mind, and soul, past, present, and future, self, other, and the greater field that holds you. So when these appear together, I read it as a green light for abundance that arrives when your integrity, effort, and faith stand shoulder to shoulder. Psychologically, this is the moment you retire the old script that says I'll feel ready first, and adopt the adult version - I'll act my way into readiness, because confidence is not a prerequisite, it is a byproduct of aligned action. Socially, you'll notice how your circle rewards substance over spectacle. Spiritually, a Buddhist would say loosen the grip and the river moves again, which is a polite way of telling a fire sign to stop white-knuckling every outcome. And yes, a pinch of humor belongs here. Sag, try not to manifest a new life the way you pack for a trip, throwing everything into the bag and trusting airport security to sort it out. Edit, then leap. In the year of triumph 2025, your task is simple and demanding. Receive what you've earned without apologizing for it, trust the timing that looks inconvenient but proves perfect, and transform not by force but by alignment. Pull the bowstring steadily, breathe, and let the arrow fly where your whole being already knows to go. When the first card emerges, go the distance, we are met with the image of a cheetah suspended in mid-flight, its body stretched across golden dunes, eyes locked on a distant checkered flag. The symbolism here is straightforward yet profound. Spirit is telling you not to quit, not to slow down, and certainly not to collapse under the weight of exhaustion. You are far closer to the finish line than your weary mind admits. As someone who has spent decades watching the rhythms of Sagittarius, I can say this: you are a fire sign whose energy is legendary, capable of sparking revolutions, moving nations, or simply throwing the most unforgettable parties. Yet the truth is that your fire sometimes scatters like fireworks in the night sky, brilliant, dazzling, but short-lived. The cosmos here is nudging you to sustain, to hold steady, to keep running even when the wind is sharp against your face. But let's be honest for a moment, and insert a little humor where it belongs. Sagittarius, you are the Zodiac's equivalent of a runner who sprints past everyone at mile 2, waves proudly at the crowd, and then suddenly remembers you forgot to bring water for the rest of the race. You're also the archer who fires an arrow with bold conviction, only to realize afterward that you never actually aimed at a target. Spirit isn't scolding you, it's reminding you that speed without direction can waste your gifts. Go the distance asks you to keep your eyes fixed on the flag and not the distractions along the way. Intention must pair with momentum, or else all that galloping energy burns itself out in the desert. The second card, the Fates, shifts us from sweat to surrender. Number 17, reducing to 8, is the number of power, but not the kind of power we wrestle into being. The stars scattered across this card appear like breadcrumbs left by destiny, guiding you down a path you thought you chose but was in fact prepared for you long before. In astrology, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, planet of expansion and faith, and so it is in your nature to trust that something greater orchestrates the details. Here, the card affirms that unseen hands are weaving the loom while you run your race. And here comes the deeper layer, one that blends seamlessly with Buddhist philosophy. Karma is not punishment or reward, it is simply cause and effect ripening in its own time. The opportunities unfolding now are not random, they are the fruit of seeds planted long ago, some perhaps even in lives you cannot consciously remember. What feels like sudden luck is simply the flowering of destiny. To dismiss it as coincidence is to miss the exquisite choreography of the cosmos. For the chosen ones, those Sagittarians who have always felt drawn to a higher calling or sensed that ordinary life could never contain them, this card is confirmation. You are not wandering without a map, you are turning a page written before your birth, and the eclipse season is the spotlight illuminating that text. From here, Spirit introduces the third card, Co-Create number 40, pulsing with the stability of foundations. This is not a card about solitary achievement but about partnership. The imagery brings to mind building blocks, a home, a relationship, a business venture that stands taller because more than one set of hands shaped it. For Sagittarius, this can feel like an uncomfortable directive. You thrive on independence, often preferring to book a one-way ticket across continents rather than negotiate chores with a companion. You are the philosopher on horseback, galloping across open plains, not the careful architect drafting blueprints with a team. Yet Co-Create reminds you that the next phase of your growth is not a solo pilgrimage. This is the paradox of freedom: the more you resist interdependence, the more isolated you become, and isolation is not the same as freedom. Spirit is asking you to see collaboration not as compromise but as leverage. Two bows draw more arrows than one. Two minds build structures that endure storms. In the year of triumph 2025, the lesson for Sagittarius is that strength multiplies when shared. For the chosen ones especially, who often carry the weight of destiny like a lonely crown, this card whispers a gentle truth: your story is braided with others. The weaving of fate is never a single thread, it is a tapestry of lives, loves, and labors. So, if go the distance tells you to keep running, the fates remind you that destiny has been running alongside you, and Co-Create insists you are not meant to cross the finish line alone. It is a triad of messages: persevere, trust, and join hands. And if I may close this reflection with a touch of humor, remember this: you may think you're the lone hero of your saga, the Indiana Jones of the Zodiac, but even Indy had companions carrying maps, torches, and the occasional antidote when he got himself in trouble. Spirit is smiling and saying, Sagittarius, you are magnificent, but even you don't have to save the world solo. The race ahead is not only winnable, it is winnable together. The card Poised arrives like a drum roll before a grand entrance. Number 48, which simplifies to 3, again calls us back to that sacred rhythm of alignment: body, mind, and spirit moving in concert. Picture yourself, Sagittarius, balanced on the edge of something immense, not trembling in fear but alive with anticipation. This isn't the shaky moment before disaster, it's the exhilarating pause before the curtain parts and the orchestra strikes its first note. The universe is setting the stage for you, and this card promises that what comes next has the potential to send you soaring. You may find yourself wanting to shout from rooftops or kick off your shoes and dance barefoot in the rain. And let's be real, you'd probably dance in the rain anyway, not because you're trying to capture a cinematic moment but because you misplaced your umbrella and figured you might as well enjoy the downpour. That's Sagittarius humor in action, turning mishaps into freedom. From here, the reading deepens with higher power, numbered 4, the builder's number, the essence of structure. If Poised is about your leap, higher power is about the invisible net stretched beneath you. This card draws back the veil, showing that ancestors, guides, and even loved ones who have crossed over are not idle observers but active participants in your story. Every whispered prayer you thought evaporated into silence, every midnight moment when you doubted your worth, every quiet plea you sent into the dark, those have all been heard. The timing may not feel like two-day delivery, but it is precise in ways you cannot yet measure. A Buddhist teacher might say, don't ask the world to arrange itself according to your will. Train your eyes to see the perfection already present. Higher power invites you into that vision, where the messy timing of life begins to look like divine choreography. And then comes Yin, the quiet partner of action, reminding you of the art of receiving. Too often, Sagittarius, you gallop forward offering your energy, your advice, your humor, and sometimes your unsolicited truths. But how often do you actually allow yourself to receive? The card resembles the Ace of Cups, a chalice of replenishment, but here it isn't about pouring, it's about opening. Receiving demands humility, the willingness to admit you are worthy of blessings without proving yourself through endless effort. For the so-called chosen ones among you, this lesson may be the hardest, because you equate destiny with toil, with always being on the move. Spirit whispers a different directive: sit still, uncurl your hands, and let abundance land. Not everything you're meant to have requires a heroic quest. Some gifts arrive simply because you are here to accept them. Finally, clean it up sweeps into the spread. Number 21, again reducing to 3, underlines the theme of alignment but with a broom in hand. The message is refreshingly practical: you cannot step into the new chapter carrying the clutter of the old. Think of preparing for a move. You don't haul broken mugs, outdated clothes, or the umbrella with bent spokes. You pack light, intentionally, leaving behind what no longer serves. Spirit is asking you to do the same with your inner world. Too many of you are stalled not by lack of opportunity but by the doubts that loop endlessly like a bad playlist. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not ready? Clean it up. Declutter the thought room. Renovate the inner house as seriously as you would the outer one. Taken together, these 4 cards form a progression. Poised sets the stage for joy, higher power reveals you are supported, Yin teaches you to open and receive, and clean it up clears the path forward. It is both mystical and utterly practical, a call to leap with joy. Trust the invisible allies at your side, allow blessings to reach you, and shed the unnecessary weight of fear. And if you still hesitate, remember this: you are Sagittarius, the Zodiac's eternal optimist. Even if you stumble into the rain without your umbrella, you'll end up laughing louder than anyone else. That is your gift and Spirit intends to amplify it. The card called a change in the wind is the kind of omen that makes even the most seasoned astrologer pause. Number 12, which reduces once again to 3, insists on alignment but also reminds us that alignment rarely arrives without turbulence. Picture a zebra staggering forward, not only carrying its own stripes but also hauling a peculiar structure on its back. This image is no gentle breeze, it is a full gust rattling the windows of your life, Sagittarius, a sign that change is galloping your way. And this is no cosmetic rearrangement. This is the kind of upheaval that reorders both inner landscape and outer circumstance, leaving you a little windblown but also oddly exhilarated. But Spirit, in its typical way, doesn't leave you shivering in uncertainty. It pairs this card with no place like home, and suddenly the storm makes sense. You are not being hurled into chaos for chaos's sake. You are being shepherded, almost carried, into belonging. This isn't exile, it's delivery. Whether it is a new house, a new community, or a renewed sense of who you are, the destination is sanctuary. Imagine a space where acceptance is so complete you could, humorously speaking, dance naked in the rain and no one would bat an eye except maybe to ask if you'd like a towel afterward. That is the essence here: freedom and safety, not as competing forces but as companions. This is important for Sagittarius because home, for you, has never been about 4 walls or property deeds. It is about the ability to breathe without constraint, to explore without apology, and to know that when you return, you are still loved exactly as you are. The card insists that such a space, internal and external, is coming into being. Now the tarot deck itself speaks, and its language is decision and destiny. The Two of Wands places you at a crossroads, globe in hand, vision stretched to the horizon. The question is eternal: do I leap into the unknown or do I stay with the familiar? Following swiftly is the Eight of Cups, which suggests that honoring the past does not mean chaining yourself to it. You can bow in gratitude to what has been and still walk toward the rising sun, knowing that your next chapter is not behind you but ahead. And then, bursting into the spread like a Sagittarian archetype, comes the Knight of Swords, charging recklessly yet bravely toward his motorbike. It's the perfect mirror of your nature, sometimes impulsive, occasionally messy, but always courageous. You would rather leap and bruise than sit and wither. Spirit knows this and blesses it, because the momentum of courage often opens doors timidity could never touch. The destination? The Ten of Pentacles, a card so luminous with legacy that it practically glows in your hand. Here we see not only wealth and stability but also continuity, family, and the deep satisfaction of building something that lasts. This card is the universe's way of assuring you, your leap is not into emptiness but into fulfillment. Yet the spread doesn't allow complacency. Out slips the Four of Pentacles, clutching coins like a miser afraid of scarcity. This is the shadow that stalks abundance, the belief that what you have is fragile, easily lost, conditional. But scarcity, as Buddhist teaching reminds us, is a mental construct, not a cosmic law. Clinging creates suffering because it blocks the natural flow. The Four of Pentacles asks you bluntly, can you release the rock and trust the river? Can you loosen your grip long enough to realize that abundance is not running from you but running toward you? From here, the spread blossoms into richness. The Lovers reminds you that destiny is often a choice disguised as romance. The Queen of Swords slices through fog with clarity, teaching you to trust reason over fear. The Three of Cups arrives as celebration, friendship, and the joy of companionship. And again, the Ten of Pentacles reappears like a cosmic echo, as if Spirit is gently but firmly repeating, "Did you hear me the first time?" Fulfillment awaits. Notice the narrative arc: choice gives rise to clarity, clarity opens the door to celebration, and celebration matures into legacy. That is the trajectory of your coming months, Sagittarius, a story not of random chaos but of deliberate, guided transformation. And if you still find yourself hesitating, remember that your sign is the philosopher on horseback. You were never meant to sit quietly in one place forever. Life is asking you to ride into the storm, not because it wants to break you, but because on the other side of that wind is the truest version of home you've ever known. And yes, once you arrive, you'll probably still forget your umbrella, but this time, you won't mind the rain. The Wheel of Fortune arrives as if to remind us that life is not static, no matter how hard we try to anchor it. It turns, sometimes gently, sometimes with a jolt, and suddenly the view ahead is no longer what it was yesterday. For Sagittarius, this turning is good news. The road tilts in your favor, not because luck suddenly noticed you but because destiny and timing have aligned. And right alongside it, the Ace of Coins, a card that doesn't speak in vague metaphors but offers something tangible. This is a doorway to plant your vision in soil that will actually nourish it. Dreams don't remain dreams here, they sprout into grounded reality. This is the year of triumph 2025 in motion, and for the chosen ones, it's proof that fate provides the road, but free will decides the stride. The narrative continues with a trinity that feels like Spirit's script for your immediate future. First comes the Three of Cups: celebration, laughter, friendships that remind you life is not meant to be trudged through but danced. Then, like the wise counterbalance, arrives the Hermit, pulling you back into solitude, where reflection clarifies the noise and allows wisdom to take root. Finally, the Six of Wands: victory, recognition, and the triumphant return after the inner work is done. It is as if Spirit is saying, celebrate, then retreat to integrate, and return stronger than before. The closing oracle cards seal the message. Trust calls you to release fear and step into the process without hesitation. Completeness honors the closing of an era, a recognition that you have already become whole through what you've endured. And transformation lifts the curtain, the caterpillar has done its work, and the butterfly now tests its wings. It is a moment of emergence, not by accident, but by design. So what does this all mean? Sagittarius, you are standing at the doorway of renewal. Behind you lies the safety of routines that once served but now confine. Ahead of you waits abundance, a deeper sense of belonging, and the transformation you've secretly been preparing for. The only obstacle is fear, the fear of not having enough, the fear of making a wrong choice. But let me tell you something from years of study, there are no wrong choices, only different classrooms of growth. Spirit urges you now, the time is ripe, the present is waiting. Align body, mind, and soul with your destiny. And, of course, life deserves a touch of humor. Sagittarius, you are the sign most likely to plan a bold new adventure without checking if the gas tank is full. But here's the secret, the universe has already filled it for you. Your only job is to steer. Chosen ones, this is your chapter. In the year of triumph 2025, the universe does not want you merely to survive, it wants you to receive, to thrive, to revel in the journey. May you trust the unseen, embrace the leap, and remember that home is not always a physical address but the state of being wholly yourself, free, fearless, and alive. And before you dash off on your next great quest, do me a favor, like this video, share it with your fellow stargazers, and subscribe to Zodiac Talks Tarot so we can continue walking and laughing through the cosmos together.